actually defeated Kendrick with a nice little roll-up. I was not expecting that, to be honest. Brian Kendrick looked like he was very devastated, very sad in the ring. It was just... It was kind of heartbreaking to see that. And then we actually see a bit of a segment between T.J. Perkins and Brian Kendrick. And Kendrick's like, you're young, you've got all this talent in the world, and you got so much, but I only have probably one more chance to do this. So he actually asks TJ to let him win on Sunday, and TJ just kind of scoffs and walks away, which understandably so. But that again goes a little bit deeper into my predictions going into Sunday. Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn actually didn't happen. Braun Strowman basically said that he was looking for competition, do one thing, but Sami Zayn attacked him. That got Braun Strowman's attention, and Braun just kind of walked away from it. So not much really can be said about this. Then we get to the biggest disappointment of the night. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman in the ring. It was supposed to be a deal in which apparently Vince McMahon wanted it to be like Brock Lesnar was supposed to be the heel or something like that, but there was like people chanting for Suplex City and saying Goldberg sucks and blah blah blah. It was a mess of things, and the segment was probably like 3 minutes long, maybe, and it was a waste. Not much was really said there, and then they just walked away. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Main event happened. Nothing too much special. Seth Rollins pinned both Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho in the middle of the ring with a weird little double pin, I guess. Security breaks up Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, and one of the security guys that broke up Seth Rollins was our good friend TW3 from WPW. Loved seeing it. It was awesome. Kevin Owens beat down on Seth Rollins and actually powerbombed him onto the apron, basically to end the show. Raw was a bit of a disappointment. I am not going to lie. There were a couple things that were good, but most of it was bad. Good thing that I was drinking, because I would not have made it through. Let's go on to SmackDown, which was happening in good old Green Bay, Wisconsin. Kicked off with Kane versus Bray Wyatt. It ends with Randy Orton RKOing Kane and Bray Wyatt picking the victory. And it doesn't even mention not to mention the fact there was no disqualification and there were no weapons used. What was the point of it being a no DQ match? It makes no sense. It just, okay then. AJ Styles cut a bit of a promo backstage talking about beating Dean Ambrose, and he actually makes a comment that if Ellsworth gets involved, that he'll be missing more than his chin after, which definitely comes into play. I'm not going to lie. Renee Young actually talks to Miss Becky Lynch, who makes her return. I loved it. But we get Alexa Bliss coming out basically saying, "Oh, I'm sorry about, everything that happened to your back." And Becky said, "I didn't have a back surgery." And Alexa Bliss beat down on Becky Lynch, hit her with a DDT, and then spray painted her back with yellow. I thought this was a damn good segment by Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. I loved every single thing about it. It was really cool. It definitely promotes the whole Women's Championship matchup in a couple weeks in Glasgow, Scotland. I loved it. And the Hype Bros beat the Ascension to qualify for the Survivor Series team. Moving along. Nikki Bella defeated Natalya to be the captain of Team SmackDown for the women's division. Then Carmella beat her down. Not too much special here. Miz comes out with the Spirit Squad to address the Intercontinental title. And he's basically saying, he wants his rematch. And Ziggler said, "I'll take you on tonight." But unfortunately, Miz says, "I will do it on my terms." Cue in Slater and Rhino, who try to get involved and blah, blah, blah. Then finally, it evolves basically into a tag team title match between the Spirit Squad and Miz and Rhino. Slater and Rhino. In which Slater and Rhino win. Nothing too much special there. A good main event matchup between AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. The ending was kind of screwy, though, because AJ Styles hit James Ellsworth with a baseball slide, and then we see Dean Ambrose tosses AJ over the top rope. Mr. Ellsworth hits a no-chin music on Mr. Styles, which gets Dean disqualified. And that's going to keep Ellsworth in the SmackDown picture, I guess. Okay. So maybe SmackDown was not all that impressive either. But, in all honesty, I got to see my good friends Chris and AJ on there, so that made it a little more worthwhile. So, yeah, SmackDown was... It was another one of those things where it's like it had its moments, but at the same time it just was not as good as what it could have been. Okay, so let's go into something more positive. Let's try this. Let's talk about NXT, which, all honesty, was pretty good. I mean, you have DIY as well as the team of TJ Perkins and Kota Ibushi both qualifying to advance in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Loved it. I don't think I need to really go into too much detail about that because I think that they saw... Anybody who is not even a wrestling fan could see that this was going to happen. So we're just going to move along a little bit. Ty Dillinger defeated a local wrestler, Noah Portez, I think it was. I'm not trying to offend anybody by not knowing their names, but I'm just going to say Ty Dillinger beat Noah with a tiebreaker in which we see, the 1, 2, 3. Ty Dillinger gets a little promo, but then gets beaten down by Bobby Roode and hits the Impaler DDT on the top of the rampway. Basically, I would categorize this as it pays to be rude, and he did it in the most glorious way possible, pun intended. So from that, we go into 2 women's matches in which we see Aaliyah defeat Billie Kay. And Peyton Royce and Billie Kay got the last laugh on Liv Morgan and Aaliyah just by beating them down. I think that they're definitely going to be a big-time tag team. I think they're going in the same direction that they were going with Emma and Dana Brooke. But you know something? That's okay. I'm totally okay with that. So we go into the matchup, and I think this is the best way to close off NXT. I got to see my girl, Thea Trinidad, in action. And I'm thinking, yay, this is awesome. She's going to get a tryout in NXT. And then I heard with the music of her opponent, and it was Asuka. And I thought, crap. So, in all honesty, this was honestly a good matchup. I mean, it did end the way you would expect it with Asuka locking in an armbar and making Thea tap out. But Thea did a really good job. I think that she definitely held her own against Asuka, and she probably survived a lot longer than a lot of other people did. So she can at least have that to her resume, saying, I didn't get beat by Asuka in, 20 seconds or something like that. I think it was maybe about 2 minutes in, and then she had to submit. But what I really loved was the moment after the matchup. William Regal comes out and he says, "I've been scouring the globe and I was looking for your next opponent. Your next opponent will be this woman right here." Who was the one that comes on the Titantron? I wonder. Could it have been former Divas, former Women's, former Knockouts champion, Mickie freaking James? Yes, it was. And it was beautiful. She cut a damn good promo talking about how Asuka claims that she can beat anyone, no problem. And that Mickie James actually said that she's beaten all the women that have actually laid the foundation of what the women's division is all about, and that she's going to see you in Toronto. Oh, man, this was a damn good night for NXT. I loved it. The electricity between Mickie James and Asuka was just undeniable. I am looking forward to that matchup because, in all honesty, you guys, it's going to be epic. There is no doubt about it. I think that this matchup here between Mickie James and Asuka is going to just go leaps and bounds above any other matchup that Asuka has had in the past. Now we move on to Lucha Underground. a lot of people thought this was a bad night for Lucha Underground, and it wasn't bad until the main event. But I digress. Let's just get into it. We kicked off with Dario Cueto and Sexy Star in the office talking about the matchup for the main event tonight. But already Sexy Star was saying, hey, I am ready to cash in, and I want to face your brother next week. And basically Dario says, hey, you can do that. Just got to get through Johnny Mundo tonight. Oh, and also Aerostar, Drago, and Phoenix, if they get involved, they will be banned from the temple. Whew. I think you kind of know where this is going. So, it was, oh boy. We kicked off with Eva Lise going one-on-one with Marty the Moth. And honestly, you guys, I am not done with Marty the Moth's character. I actually love what he's doing with his character. It's so creepy, but it's so entertainingly good. I think that it's been a long time since they had somebody, just be a creepy, healthy little slimy ball. And this was just awesome. But we see Marty the Moth pin Eva Lise with, I think it was a forward... It was like a forward double underhook front slam, something like that. I don't know if it was maybe like his version of the glam slam or something like that. I couldn't really tell. But Marty the Moth picked up the victory and then was going to continue beating down Eva Lise when Eva Lise's boyfriend, Jeremiah Gray, comes in and makes the save, evens the odds. And they even get into a little bit of an argument, Eva Lise and Jeremiah, where Jeremiah said, you need my help. You can't just do this on your own. Eva Lise kept refusing until finally she said, fine, I accept your help. But just know this, Dario is one big slime ball, and if I have to fight you, don't think I won't kick your ass. And Jeremiah, of course, just says, oh, I love when you talk dirty. Some guys are just a little bit too desperate for a little bit of tail, I guess. So we get into the promo, which really kind of interests me. And this is the whole thing with the White Rabbit. And then we see a man in a white suit appear. Who is this man in a white suit, you might ask? Well, to my surprise, it was Paul London. For those of you that don't know, Paul London was one half of the former longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions in history. But I guess he's been kind of on this like downward slope or something like that. I don't know. It's something weird. And then there was some weird thing with him and Matt Hardy or something like that. I hadn't seen this guy in a long time. And now he's coming to Lucha Underground. Whew. Boy, howdy. This is going to be insane. We get into another segment with Dario, and he goes out to a limousine, and this guy gives him this chest, in which he basically says, I'm hoping that you have found another host. Excuse me. And Dario says, oh, that host may indeed be, announced, may indeed be found tonight. So there's something big going on between Cage and Texano in the near future, which brings us into match number 3 between Cage and Texano. And Texano needed this victory in the worst way possible. It was a great matchup between these two guys, but in the end, Texano won. Or is it Tejano? It's probably Tejano, and I'm saying that wrong. With a roll-up on Cage, which gets him on the board. So we're going into match 4. And the winner will be the one who gets an ultimate opportunity by Dario Cueto, whatever that might be. Oh boy, I am very concerned. I'm not going to lie. Then we get into another segment back in the office with Dario and Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio says that he wants Chavo gone, and he doesn't want to leave the temple, but he does want Chavo to leave. So he suggests a loser leaves Lucha matchup for next week. Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero, and the loser's going to be leaving the temple. And Dario says, I found my main event for next week. And Rey Mysterio says this line.